お嬢様。
Hello my lords and ladies, Joe here. Are you excited for the new spiced up version of the Moogle Treasure Trove with the first hunt for Genesis? I know I am. But while we aren't really sure on exactly how we will be grinding it out for our tomes, I am here to help you at least figure out which prizes you should prioritize and which ones are better put on the back burner. I'm going to list out how each prize is obtained outside the event, and give you my personal opinion on them so you can figure out for yourself whether it is worth your time to get them. Let's get into it. Starting out with the event exclusive items. These are the items that you can only obtain through Moogle Treasure Troves. First, there is the Mame Shiba Neckerchief Glamour Neck Accessory. While this is the most expensive item sitting at 100 tomes, as stated before, Moogle Treasure Troves are the only way of obtaining it. It was last available nearly 4 years ago. So, if you have any passing interest in this item at all, I would make it your top priority. Next, we have the 2 ostensibly special time-worn maps. These are special treasure maps that are guaranteed to open a level 80 treasure dungeon. Those being the dungeons of Lyhe, Ghiah, and the shifting Oubliettes of Lyhe, Ghiah. Now, spawning treasure dungeons isn't that hard, being what I estimate to be somewhere between 25% and 50% from your normal maps. However, considering that these are stackable, and it takes away the guesswork, these may very well be worth it. However, you will still need a party of people to help you with the dungeons. Nothing is ever guaranteed when you do them, and the rewards you want, others may outroll you instead. So, I'd give this a medium priority. They may be a high priority for those who really want a particular drop from these dungeons, so I recommend you do some research about possible rewards. I'll link a list of the items that you can get in the description. And as a reminder to all you trial players that may be listening, these are level 80 maps, meaning you won't have access to the areas for the treasure hunt. So unless you plan on stockpiling them until you switch over to a sub, this should be a complete pass. Then we have the stack of 10 Magicked Prisms Job Mastery Fireworks. While these are only available during Moogle Treasure Troves, they are available every time this type of event happens. Combine that with the fact that they only cost a single tome, they are obviously there just to dump your leftover tomes into once this event is over. This is a default bottom priority item. Moving on to the Ishgardian Restoration. All of these items involve unlocking the firmament in Heavensward and crafting and gathering in some fashion. First, let's talk about the Antelope Dough Horn. I have very mixed feelings about this item. While obtaining this item normally requires the cost of 8,400 Skybuilder scripts, which is a lot, so the Moogle event would be a great time to pick it up, as accumulating 50 event tomes would be a much easier method. However, this mount is very similar to the extremely easily obtained Antelope Staghorn. So if you are the most insistent kind of mount collector, I would put this as a high priority. But if you just want an antelope mount and you don't mind horns, just do some Ishgardian Restoration fates and you'll get one in no time, rather than spending a whole 50 tomes on the dough, making this a low priority item. Next, the Modern Aesthetics Modern Legend. This also costs Skybuilder scripts, but it's only 1,800 scripts, which is not really that hard to collect. If you really hate crafting, then this is the time to get it. Otherwise, this should only be a medium priority. But here comes the hidden gem, the Daumel Whistle. This is gotten through the Cupo of Fortune Scratcher ticket game, which means to get this prize, not only do you need to craft 5 restoration items to buy a ticket, but you need to have the whistle as a prize on the ticket, hope that the prize box is on the ticket, and that you select the right box to get it. So it's RNG on top of RNG on top of RNG. I did a heavy Cupo of Fortune grind to get my casual set glamour, and this might sound anecdotal, but the Daumel Whistle seemed to be one of the more rare prizes to show up. Needless to say, I never got it. Combine that with the fact that this is a steal at 30 tomes, I'd make this a high priority. Now let's move on to craftable items. These ones are hard to gauge, and what it really comes down to is if you're willing to go through the effort of crafting them yourself or buy them off the market board. All recipes are level 80, so keep that in mind. The one exception I would make and give a higher priority to is the Titania Barding. Not only can every player use it, but it's the only craftable item that requires a rare crafting material. So even if you could craft it yourself, it could be a pain. On the market board, this can sell for over 1,000,000 gil, so it gets a high priority. And a reminder to trial players, this is the only way you can obtain this item. Now for the Eureka item. The Ukino Snowflake is a rare RNG drop from Hydatos lock boxes and a less rare drop from moisture wrapped lock boxes, which are dropped in Eureka Hydatos, the final open area of Eureka. So getting there in itself is kind of an ordeal all in its own, on top of the rare chance of getting the minion drop. So you might be thinking that this is an obvious high priority item. Well, you can also get the Snowflake from the Material Container 4.0, which you can get from your Grand Company for 20,000 company seals. And if you're planning on dumping company seals into those containers in the hopes of obtaining rare mounts, or are just using them as a way to get rid of your excess seals, chances are you're going to run into this minion eventually. So I have to give it a medium priority. Let's talk about the Fate drop item. There's only one this time around, and it's the Ultima Horns. Now normally you can get these by trading in Proto Ultima Exoplatings, which are dropped from the Fate Prey Online. Check out my video on Heavensward Fates that are worth doing for more information. To be honest, it's not that hard to find people to do this fate, and with the single reward from it being the Ultima Horns, I can't really say this should be a high priority. The only difficulty is that you have to do it more than once to get enough exoplatings to buy the horns. And this fate isn't really that popular, so sometimes no one shows up to it. Still, I have to give it only a medium priority. Now getting into dungeon, trial, and raid drops. First is the Decisions Omega Orchestron roll, which you can get from Deltascape version 4.0. As far as I can tell, it's a 100% drop rate, and it's not hard to just duty finder a way into a party. This is what I consider to be a trap prize, and is a complete waste of tomes. Low priority. Next, you have the Extreme Trial mount drops, being the Boreas Whistle, the Rose Lanner Whistle, and the legendary Kamui Fife. All of these are low priority. You're better off just joining an unsynced mount party rather than wasting your time getting the tomes needed for these mounts. Even trial players now have access to Stormblood, so there's no one I can recommend these for. Let's talk about the Stormblood Gilgamesh card, which you can get from the Kugane Ohashi trial. Considering how rare this drop is, it has to be placed as a high priority item, but there is a condition around it. You can't purchase it from the event unless you have the trial unlocked, so make sure you do your Stormblood Hildebrand quests before the end of the event, or make sure you hold on to enough tomes after the event until you unlock the trial, so you can go back to the Moogle and then purchase it. The Titania card, on the other hand, is low priority. Based on my research, it seems to be a rather common drop from the normal version of the Dancing Plague trial. You need to unlock the trial for it to even appear, so even trial players who may want to get a heads up on their collection can't obtain it. Little Linan is a minion from the level 80 dungeon The Grand Cosmos. This is a high priority. Dungeon minions are notoriously rare drops. The only other method of getting it is through silver-tinged sacks from the deep dungeon Eureka Orthos, which isn't an easy method either. And considering how cheap it is at 7 tomes, it is a good opportunity for those who need to expand their minion collection. Also, for trial players, this is the only way you can obtain it. For the PvP rewards, being the late elegant armor of fending, maiming, and striking, These are all low priority. Wolf marks are not hard to come by. The only people that might want to take a second look are trial players, who still have yet to be allowed back into PvP. So I guess it would be a high priority for them. I'm going to retread some ground here and talk about the treasure dungeon drop, which is the Twilight over Thanaland Orchestron roll. This drops from the level 60 Aquapolis treasure dungeon. Now I'm going to give this a high priority. 1, because the Aquapolis is not often run today, so it might be harder to get a party together. 2, there's no telling how many Aquapolis runs it would take for you to even have it drop. And 3, considering the cutthroat nature of treasure dungeons, it means you'll probably not even get it should it drop. Just take all the variables out of the equation and pick this roll up. And now for the Beast Tribe rewards. You have the Bomb Palanquin Horn and the Indomitable Orchestron roll. Both of these are low priority. Beast Tribes are things you should be doing regardless, and by doing their reputation grind, you unlock more than just these rewards. If for some reason you absolutely hate doing easy to do daily quests, then sure, this is a chance to get one of the best mounts in the game. There is only one item you can get through the hunt, the Griffin Hatchling, which of course means it's low priority. If you plan on doing any hunts, you'll quickly find out that you are searching for things to spend your seals on. So, just get it that way. 400 Centurio seals might seem like a lot to those unfamiliar with the hunt, but trust me, it's not. For the miscellaneous items, you have the MGP Platinum card, low priority. This is only for the person who hates playing Golden Saucer games. 50k isn't even that hard to get, and if you're really starving for MGP, you can just do the Wondrous Tales to get what you need. And then there are the Deep Eye and Archeornis cards, low priority. The hardest part of obtaining these is unlocking the NPCs you need to play them. And guess what? You'll need to unlock the NPCs to even get these to appear for the Moogle event. If you need help figuring out how to make the NPCs become challengeable to Triple Triad, check out my side quests worth doing in Heavensward video. And that's my priority for the Moogle Treasure Trove, the first hunt of Genesis. But what do you think? Which items are you gonna gun for? Do you disagree with any of my priority listings? Let me know in the comments. I hope you'll give me the treasure of your like and sub, and I'll see you in the world of tomorrow.